Yeah, thanks, Adrian. So everyone, on behalf of myself, Joe from JDB, Devin from Scanco, and Patty from SWK and myself, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time out of your day. What we want to walk through here is give you an idea of what our solutions have to offer in regards to automation, within Sage 100 ERP for integrated supply chain and manufacturing software. To kind of kick it off, the first, we'll kind of give you a background of who each of us are. So JDB Solutions Group has been specializing for over a decade in manufacturing automation, including barcode scanning, technology equipment, process design, and consulting. Scanco, which Devin is from, Scanco is a Sage OEM partner and leader in WMS applications for Sage 100 ERP. Scanco works with thousands of different manufacturing distributing companies, providing a seamlessly integrated real-time WMS application within iOS, Android, or Windows platforms. You'll see SWK. SWK is a company that myself and Patty are from. SWK is a Sage Gold development partner specializing in several Sage 100 solutions, including multi-bin, which Patty will be able to show you here today. Multi-bin is a solution that overcomes the limitation for a single bin location per item per warehouse. And Patty will be able to show you seamlessly how that would work within Sage 100 ERP. And then also today, which I will touch on, is I'll be showing you Mappa Dock, which is a fully integrated EDI solution that's embedded into the Sage ERP platform. So today we'll show you obviously for Sage 100, but we also have integrated solutions into Sage 500 and Sage ERP X3. And really what Mappa Dock is, it's a proven EDI solution that really streamlines EDI by leveraging a lot of the processes you're already doing in your Sage ERP platform. And so really to set the agenda here today and set the tone is we wanted to give you kind of a process flow where each of us comes into play. So up front, which I'll go over within the Mappa Dock integration, is we'll actually bring in an EDI purchase order and create a sales order into sales order entry. And once we walk through and I discuss how Mappa Dock integrates within the Sage, I'll hand it over to Devin at Scanco, and he'll be able to walk you through Scanco's integration with warehouse receipt of goods. Then Devin will actually hand it over to Patty to walk through our multi-bin solution with TL receipt of goods, and then Patty will hand it to Joe at JDB to walk through the workflow automation or the manufacturing automation, and then Devin and myself will close it out with shipping and Scanco, and then also we're sending out your ASN, and if you're familiar with EDI, sending out your ASN and UCC 128 label, and at the end of the day, sending out your invoice via EDI. So we're very happy to be here with you today. And so, like Adrian said, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll be able all here to answer them at the end of the call for you. And so what I'm actually going to do now is pull up Mappa Dock and actually walk you through the process of taking an EDI PO and creating a Sage sales order. And so if you're familiar with Mappa Dock, or if this is the first time you've heard, Mappa Dock is a fully integrated solution into Sage, excuse me. And what we do is we take that EDI PO and automate the creation of the sales order. And our creation of sales orders from an EDI PO is a very simple process within Mappa Dock. It's really 3 steps. Receive EDI is the first step. So that receive EDI is actually reaching out to either the on-premise or cloud-based EDI translator. So if you're working with a company like SPS Commerce or even on-premise translation service, Mappa Dock works with both. And so we're able to take that EDI down. And then the second step here is validation. And you can see this here on this beautiful process flow screen. Sage 100 came out with these nice process flows that we've been able to mimic to really give you the same look and feel as Mappa Dock. As you can see here under sales order, Mappa Dock is just like any other module within Sage. And you heard me reference before where we're really leveraging the Sage platform to streamline your EDI. That's because we're embedded in Sage. We have the same interfaces. We have the same logic. So we're not here to overwrite anything in regards to what you're doing in the Sage. We're here to leverage that. And then going back to the actual process with the PO to sales order creation is the second step is validation. And again, validation is where we really are able to differentiate ourselves from other EDI solutions in the Sage channel. And so think of validation as real simply creating a sales order without creating a sales order. Okay, so we're validating the information that your customers are sending you via EDI to ensure that that's what you have set up in Sage. And so we'll use an item code as a good example. So if your customer is sending you an item code that you either don't have set up in Sage or requires a cross-reference, we're going to validate to make sure that that item code is set up in Sage and set up in the cross-reference to be able to populate on the sales order correctly. Because if you're familiar with EDI and the return documents like the ASN or the invoice, your customers are going to want you to send back the same information they sent to you. And what the best practice is to catch any issues up front to avoid any issues in the back end where you can be exposed to chargebacks with the ASN document or poor scorecards like with a customer like Amazon. They have very stringent scorecarding measures to ensure that you're meeting their EDI requirements. And then lastly, the creation of the orders. And so you can see here, I'm actually not going through the steps, and or actually clicking on these buttons because Mappa Dock, with it also being fully integrated within Sage, it also has the ability to be fully automated. We have a lot of our customer base today is fully automated. So when they receive an EDI PO, they'll receive a notification. And then what that means is to kind of just give them the awareness that you have a PO out there, but Mappa Dock, again, can be fully automated. So we're able to take that PO down and then validate and then create the order automatically without without our customers actually have to intervene. And then we provide reports. The reports are all built within Crystal. So we're using Sage's standard reporting tool again to give you the reports through Mappa Dock. So here's an example of a report of what it would look like once we create the orders. Okay, and you heard me reference automation and validation. So Mappa Dock has the full ability to stop the orders if there's any sort of issue. So let's just say you brought in a batch of 50 POs, and one of them either had an invalid item code, or if you're shipping to a store or a DC and you're maintaining ship-to codes in AR, Mappa Dock has the full ability to still process those 49 to avoid having to and hold that one in a queue for you to review, to avoid having to hold up the whole batch to accommodate one order that you may not ship to before or an item you've not shipped for. So it just really gives you the example how flexible Mappa Dock can be. But to give you an idea of what the reports look like, we actually break it down by customer and then by PO number. So here you can see the customers ABF, BBB, and we brought down 5 POs. And so we brought down the 5 POs and actually created the 5 sales orders because there's no issues associated with it. And we'll list each PO out separately and each sales order out separately. And now Mappa Dock has the full capability of going in sequence with your sales order numbering system today. So Sage's standard sales order numbers, we're able to go in sequence, or a lot of our customers like to prefix or suffix their sales order numbers for customers or orders that are coming in through Mappa Dock, and that gives them a little bit of differentiation based on the sales order number to tell, hey, this order is for BBB because it's prefixed with a JC. And then also Mappa Dock is able to take either the Sage price or the EDI price, and then with that, we're able to tell you if there's a mismatch, so you can go back to your buyer and indicate to them that the prices in your system compared to what's in their systems are not in line. And now we also provide you another report that will show you more of a batch summary report, and that is kind of just total units and total dollar amount to give you just a quick snapshot of what you brought down for that order. And now real quickly before I hand it over to Devin to actually walk through the warehouse receipt of goods, I just want to pull up one of the sales order numbers here to show you what we actually did. And so there's all this information here was either defaulted based on if you have any defaults set up in accounts receivable or integrated from the EDI PO. So we're not here to disrupt anything if you have defaults set up in AR. But there is one field I do want to point out, and that's department number. There's a lot of fields in the EDI world that Sage does not have a standard placement for. And so we actually capture that information in user-defined fields in the background, and when you're sending back that quoting ASN and invoice, it goes out the same way it came in. So you don't need to worry about maintaining the department number, vendor number, even something as common as UPC code. Those are very popular EDI data that's being sent on the PO, and your customers are going to want to be sent back. We start behind the scenes so you don't have to maintain. And now at this point, that's really what I want to walk you through in actually taking the EDI PO and creating the Sage sales order. I'm actually going to hand it over to Devin at Scanco for him to walk through Scanco's warehouse receipt of goods.
All right, thank you, Bill, so very much. I'm going to do a quick introduction here of Scanco. I think Bill did a great job at introducing us. But I wanted to highlight something that is new in Scanco in 2014, and that's that we have opened up our platform and broadened it to be able to open up the market to a variety of different devices and different hardware, because the entry points before were usually around the $2,500 range, and now at our entry-level devices with an iPod, you can be able to install and manage your warehouse on a mobile device at much less cost. So what I have connected here is a iPod Touch, and this is connected to a Linea Pro scan sled, this one that's pictured here. So you can see this on the right-hand side. You're watching everything live. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through receiving. But before, I wanted to explain a little bit about the interface and exactly how we've designed this. Similar to the graphical dashboard that Bill had, we tried to keep in mind that everyone who's going to be using this software to have an easy touch-based interface where what they see is what they get, and what they click on is just goes directly into each one of those modules. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and choose receiving. And so there's a few different ways to enter data into the device, and one of those is to key it in. You can see here that we have an on-screen keyboard, but for efficiency's sake, we're trying to get away from doing manual entry. So a lot of our customers that use our software are going to either be using the lookups or going to be using the barcoding feature. So here, for the sake of just showing you, I'll show you what the lookup looks like, and you're able to see all of the purchase orders that are open and available in the company, and also be able to sort through each of these based on date to see how old they are, the details, and of course the order number. So what I'm going to do is I have this already barcoded here. I'm going to go ahead and scan in our purchase order, and now we have the item number that we can select, but when you click lookup, the detail view we have here shows our live validated information. So if there happen to be more than one device that are receiving these items, you can see here which is received and which is unreceived. So to simulate that happening, what I did was I went in and I started receiving 6. So say there's another device that's receiving this item code 6655. They've started receiving this item, and we see our unreceived count. So this dramatically reduces errors in the receiving process for the warehouse management. So what I'm going to do is scan the item number, and then what it's going to show here, and part of the interface also is that we have a waterfall effect. So as you scan in the purchase order number, the item number then becomes available, and then you're able to see a short description of the item and then the unit of measure. In this case, we have SWK multi-bin installed, so it's going to prompt me for a bin location for this item, which I'll go to the lookup, see here what the bin ID that I'll select, and I'm going to click OK. And so here it shows me what quantities received out of the total, and I can go ahead and key in my quantity here. We'll go ahead and finish that, and now when I go back to the lookup, we can see that unreceived on the item number 6655, and we can still see the status there of what's received and what's not. So then I'm going to go ahead and complete the order by scanning in the other item, selecting a bin location, and then finishing the quantity. Now when I hit enter, it's going to bring me back to the screen. I can go back and review what was done during that session. Now I also want to show that all of the information is live validated with the server. This is connected via Wi-Fi to your or cellular data to your installation of Sage 100. So if I happen to scan an item number that doesn't exist on that particular purchase order, it's going to give me immediate feedback on this, which is a great feature that a lot of our customers really like. And so after this is complete and the order is finished, I will send this to the server and via this button here, and we automatically have the ASN to set to print from this point on. So the Mappa Dock integration for all of the advanced shipment notifications will be sent to the printer upon application here. And so that concludes our portion as far as the receiving. So I will go ahead and pass it over to you, Patty.
Thank you, Devin. And as soon as we can go ahead and connect, for those of you that don't already know me, my name is Patty Benitez, and I'm going to be presenting multi-bin this afternoon. Our goal for today is basically to try to make your day-to-day process as simple as possible. You saw the Mappa Dock brief presentation from Bill. It allows you to automate your EDI process and not worry about the human errors or the chargebacks or anything like that. ScanCo eliminates the need for manual entry by allowing you to scan items and allowing you to place the items in multiple bins. And now that multi-bin comes into play, the multi-bin advanced distribution will provide details about the exact bin location of each item, the amount available in each bin location, and the amount available for distribution without a significant learning curve. Mainly because, as you noticed, all of these products integrate seamlessly with Sage 100. Multi-bin was written and formatted for Sage 100. Devin left off in the area where he was actually processing a receipt of goods in purchase order. What we eliminated with ScanCo was the fact that you would have to still go into your receipt of goods entry and choose the bin locations from your Sage 100. Since he already did that for us, these items are available for us to sell. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this and jump straight into a sales order. With sales order, now that the items have been received, you're able to actually allocate the items at the time of sales order. Now this is entirely optional. You can either allocate the item within the sales order or have the picking sheets allocate the items. Multi-bin is designed to help streamline the inventory picking process and to ensure that all items will be available at picking time. You can enter a single item in several bin locations or place or pull several items from several bin locations, as you can see on the screen right now. I'm actually able to choose from the different bins and go ahead and choose the items, and I've actually allocated the items at this point. Multi-bin allows for cycle counts. It also allows you to keep track of items being transferred from one bin to another. Multi-bin integrates with purchase order, inventory management, return merchandise authorization, work order, and bill of materials, allowing you to allocate inventory and other presets of raw material, finished goods, and all inventory valuations. With that, I hope my presentation was helpful. As you can see, ScanCo did most of the job for me already, because you can scan items at the sales order level as well. I'm going to go ahead and accept this and hand it over to Joe from JDB Solutions, and he will be presenting his work order solution.
Thank you very much. Almost feels like a NASCAR race here, right? So now we're going to get into some pretty cool stuff too. I'm Joe with JDB Solutions. We are the people, a lot of people call us the manufacturing freaks of the group. What we're going to do is we're going to show you after the order is created, the order comes in from the customer through EDI, sales order is generated, product has been received, whatever the case may be. We're going to go through the manufacturing tools to show you how to automate the manufacturing side. For those of you who know us, we have the shop floor data collection systems where we are able to track and show our information. But to give a little bit more feedback, I'm going to jump into the math side too as well. We have a couple new features that will help us allow more automation of our manufacturing facility. We have abilities now to generate work orders from sales orders. So quite literally, you can go out, pick a range of sales orders, whatever the case may be, automatically generate the work order through the system, automatically in release mode for those of you who know work order, which means basically it's immediately ready for production, and off you go. We have the ability of generating purchase orders from work orders now. So if you want to generate it and go back through the system, if you need an on-demand purchase order, obviously if you're using ScanCo and creating purchase orders or doing a receipt of goods or doing something from that side, but this is actually generating a purchase order through the work order module. We actually have the ability of creating purchase orders for outside processing or outside service that has to go out through the door, so we can handle that as well. We have live dashboards for work centers and also scheduling module where you can do forward, reverse scheduling, finite scheduling, stuff like that. So again, all a bunch of tools to automate your work order process and make it a lot easier for you. Now once the work order is generated, obviously the shop floor is the big area where some people lose their visibility. So what we do is we allow from the barcoding solution the ability for you to track your material, track your jobs, labor, as you can see, material issues, completions of finished goods components. We have quality control modules where as the work order is being processed through the building, we could be QCing it, putting information against it, tracking vital information, linking it back to the job, and possibly any kind of cert controls or anything like that. We also have the ability of doing enhanced lot and serial tracking. So if you generate a work order in the system, we can predetermine or predefine finished goods, lots, and serials through the work order entry process and then track that through the floor. So for like the food industry, aerospace, engineering industries, people that need that solid detail of where everything went in the manufacturing process, okay? Time card abilities, live dashboard monitors. You're going to see that probably anybody from the last demo that's seen our software, they're probably going to see even more new stuff because we continually add more features. And to give you a rough idea how it works basically is again, the work order is released. It's sent to production. The guys on the floor grab it. They want to start issuing material. So very simply, they walk over to a touch screen. They're going to go ahead and scan their work orders. They scan their inventory. They're going to pick a bin, right, wherever the SWK multi-bin, wherever you store it. We can pull it out from that bin location. We can enter how many pieces we're issuing out. We hit accept. System's smart enough to know if you're exceeding budgets, expectations, you're going over what's required, or if you're exceeding from a labor standpoint, we'll show you that as well. So we're completely monitoring, mirroring our scheduling and our work order capacity so we know if we're exceeding what we're supposed to be doing or meeting what we're going to be creating or issuing, okay? So again, just simply scanning an item, scanning your inventory item, pulling it from a warehouse, whatever it may be. Again, entering your quantity. If you're distributing something, you do lot serial control where you're just picking, issuing again, and off you go. Now what's kind of neat about it is if different bin locations have different quantities and different lots, what's nice is you're strategically moving your material throughout your bins. In your multi-bin locations, it'll be a lot easier for you to know where the material is and for you to automatically pull it or issue it. The other thing we can do too is with the nice addition of multi-bin, we could do a thing called an auto issue where if you want to do a fast issuing of product and you have default multi-bin locations in place, or if you're doing like a pick and stage where somebody's responsible for going around grabbing the material and moving it to the manufacturing floor, you could do an auto issue where it'll automatically pull the bin locations, pull the material out, and create like a mini pick tick for you where you're able to immediately start production without having to issue material one at a time. So again, with the integration feature sets, with the automated tools for work order, we can allow you to pick your material very finite or in nice big groups and auto issuing and giving those types of utilities for you, okay? So issuing material obviously is pulling raw material out, putting it onto the shop floor, right? Creating your work order, building your WIP, moving your material closer to being completed. Tracking labor. This is the action of actually tracking time spent on a job. So how that works basically is you walk over, you scan your badge, you scan your work order, you're tracking into a job, and you hit accept. So if you have multiple people working on one job, not a problem. One person working on multiple jobs, not a problem. We can dilute labor if you want. One person runs 3 machines at once, right? And you want to dilute it. Or one person can run the same work order on 3 different machines, right? Literally any way you want to throw labor or you need to collect labor, we could go ahead and we collect it and we put it on the work order for you, okay? So again, transactioning labor, scan my badge, scan my work order, hit accept, off I go. System smart enough to know I can track in anywhere. I can track in on one side of the building, track out on another. I can issue material from one area of the building, issue material from another. Any transaction doesn't matter whether it's a mobile device or a wireless or a directed connect device. They're all communicating with each other. They all know what each other's doing. So when I'm done, scan back out. As you can see, scan my work order. I'm coming back out. I can then be statusing or closing it out, saying it's been completed, whatever the case may be, saying yes, all 100 pieces are done. So not only am I tracking labor, but I'm also knowing the position, where it is, and what's been accomplished and completed, so I know what to do. You might be tracking out of another job, for instance, and off we go. We can say, no, you know what, we got to put this on QC review because we have a problem. right? So now we can be statusing our work orders. So we're not just tracking in and out, but actually tracking a status, right? So I want to say, hey, I want to put this job on QC hold. And we say we got about 40 pieces done before we had to put it on a hold. Now that's kind of cool because now we know and we can look and we can use our monitoring tools, which I'll show you in a little bit, the live dashboards to the floor, and QC people or supervisors can be looking for jobs put on hold. And something that's been in a QC review situation and be looking for these situations live, okay? So labor is the tracking of amount of time on a work order. You can also track non-productive time if you want. Some people think the gaps in between labor is more important than the actual labor. So we can track non-productive labor, okay? So literally anything that you need to track as far as from a time study or from a productive or non-productive situation can be accomplished here, okay? Now, there's a big difference between tracking labor and also doing statuses. One of the other cool things is you can position your job through the building. So it's not just tracking in and out of it, but when did it get to that position? I mean, how many times do you hear yourself say, boy, why was it sitting in this one area so long? Well, most people don't even know it's in that area. So what you actually have the ability to do is positioning and statusing jobs in and out of different areas, okay? So you could be moving it in and out of different areas inside your building, so you could be statusing the job. And again, I have instant visibility to the position to where my job is. Likewise, what if it leaves the building? What if we do a lot of outsourcing or service work, right? Or build and install or something to that effect. We can be positioning and scanning as well and saying things are leaving the building. Maybe it's going out to plating or out to heat treating or out to an outside process that we want to know when it left, how many pieces left the building, what vendor it went to, right? And then on top of that, actually have a live dashboard that we can watch and look for it to come back and see what's left the building. Okay, this is all available now with your statuses for the work orders. Okay? So again, we've got our statuses, we have our labor, we're moving the jobs through production, we have our live dashboards, we're doing some completions now, right? Now we have finished goods. We want to put them back into inventory, right? Because we got to get ready for shipping so Scanco can ship it off and Mappa Dock can complete the order, okay? So basically we're going to go ahead, we grab our work order, we're going to say, yes, we're going to move it to a staging or a shipping area, we're going to complete it to the shipping so we can move it, or what we'll do is we'll actually stage it to a WIP location, and that way you can use your guns and do a warehouse transfer and transfer it to another location, right? So we're going to go ahead and complete it to a certain area. We hit print labels out. We can document. We can put product tags on it. We can do box pallet counting. We can also do license plating and palleting. So if you need to do that, if you're completing a bunch of jobs or you're putting product on multiple pieces of product on a pallet or a box or a bin location, we could be doing that as well. So again, a completion transaction is that quick, and off you go. So from a completion standpoint, we've done all the different types of transactions. We've went ahead, we've tracked our labor. I think my internet just went down.
No, we can see you moving.
No, I'm on a host situation here. I'm in the cloud. Whoop. My cloud just went down. Sorry guys, hold on.
It's a good opportunity while you resolve that to maybe bring some questions up. Adrian, do you have any questions for us?
Yes, we have a few questions. Thank you, Robin, for your question. I believe this question is for Scanco. Devin, can this be defaulted to a specific pick location on the scanner? Devin?
Hey, sorry about that.
That's okay.
That mute button. Yes, it can be specified to a default location, but like I was showing through the way it's set up through the handheld, normally it is selectable by the device. So it would just have to be something that's set up on a back-end portal that I didn't demonstrate here. But there's for each one of the users that are set up, they have their own options that they can configure and for each device and or user set. It's kind of like profiles, if you will.
And Joe, this is a good one for you. Thank you, Shannon. How does this work with JobOps? Does this integrate with JobOps work ticket, not work order?
Yes, we actually do have another version of this. It looks exactly the same thing, but it actually works with JobOps. And it also has an Apple platform as well, too, which we're getting ready to release. So the answer is yes, work order or JobOps is not a problem. It's a similar program, it's just with work tickets instead of work orders.
And then are you ready? Are you back in play? Okay.
Yep.
Then
Server's back online again. Sorry about that, guys.
We have several other questions, so I'll reserve those for the end. But thank you, Joe. Go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you, guys. Sorry about that. So again, basically we're doing our transactions, we're doing our issues, our labor, materials. Then we have our live dashboards. Now our live dashboards is what basically makes the whole thing dynamic. So as you're doing transactions, labor, material, completions, all those transactions you're doing on the floor live, you could be monitoring here on these screens, okay? You can see what's going on. You could be tracking labor. I could be watching what people are doing. I could see where the positions they are, where they're doing, where they're at right now. We could be watching the statuses. We could be looking for the outside processing operations. We could even be filtering. So if we're looking at certain things, if we want to know just our certain area, our certain work centers, or how many times you hear yourself say, where's this job in the building, or who's working on what job right now, right? You could be answering all those questions from your live dashboard, okay? So basically, again, this is watching your data live. Not only can I watch it, but I can remotely monitor it and administer it. So if people are making mistakes out on the floor, you could be editing here too as well. So it's not just a console for watching, but it's also a console to fix things, right? So if we're a supervisor or a manager on the floor and we're watching our people or policing our people, I don't want the problem to go back to mass immediately before I have the chance to fix it, okay? So from our live dashboards, we can watch it, monitor, release it. Our QC module can go ahead and show you from a QC standpoint, capturing specific information, shop floor information, positioning, pass-fail requirements, certification controls, whatever the case may be. We could be capturing that from a QC standpoint, linking it into the work order, parent item, employee, shift, date and time, work center, whatever. It's all integrated in within the work order, so you have complete visibility and reporting tools for it later on. So basically, once we've done the completion, we go ahead and from the review screen, from the finished goods standpoint, we say we want to go ahead and process that back into mass. We process it, boom, it's back into mass, ready to go, and now it's available for ScanCo to ship it off the system. So I'm going to pass it back to ScanCo.
All right, thank you very much. I think it would be a good time to go ahead and kind of slow it down a little bit, and what I'll do, make sure everybody's still awake on the other side, is say that one of the things that you may have noticed from our solutions is that they're working together seamlessly, and the reason we all came together was to really demonstrate that. And I think with Joe showing all the robust functionality of that there's so many different things that this software can do. So what I'm going to do is pick off where he left off with the shipping and talk about a couple different options, and I'm just going to really quickly go over some of the advanced shipping that we have, including wave picking and directed picking, which allows the warehouse users to be directed to bin locations based on the particular sales orders that they are fulfilling. And inside of the shipping module here, you'll see that we have both of them for shipping data entry and also invoice data entry. For this purpose, we're going to use shipping data entry. And so here again, we have our options to be able to enter information into the interface. I'm going to see a lookup here and see both of these options. But again, I have this connected via barcode scanner, so I'm going to go ahead and scan that in. And then I'm going to scan in my sales order. Now it's going to ask me what box that I'm working in. I'm going to go ahead and select the first one that it populates. And now I'm going to be able to fill in the items into each bin. It's going to prompt which bin to place this into or to pull from, and now it's going to have the quantity shipped versus ordered. And so now I can key in the quantity of this item. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 20. So now I'm going to go and scan the item again. Now you'll see here I have an option to choose the next box. So I'm going to select that, and now out of the same bin, it's going to show me again the quantity shipped versus ordered, and then I can go ahead and fulfill the rest of that quantity. And now you'll see on the review here from the lookup, it's going to show the item, it's going to show the warehouse, the quantity, and the bin that it was taken from, and how many line items are on there. We can go to the detail view here, and you can see that quantity 20 and quantity 26 were pulled from this order. So I'm going to go back. Now I'm going to scan one more item, select the bin, and then again fulfill the rest of the quantity. So all of the information here that is brought into the system is of course live validated with the information that's inside of Sage 100. And see here we have on this particular order that 8971 has 12 that are unshipped. So I'm going to go ahead and select this item. And this is a lotted item, so I'm going to choose the lookup to find that lot. And then we're going to go ahead and receive the rest of the quantity there. So now when we go to our lookup, it's going to tell us that there are no unresolved items left on the sales order, which means that the user has completed this. And we click OK, and then we have the option to send this to the server. And then that's when we send it back to Mappa Dock. And I just shared my screen with Bill.
Yep. So thank you, Devin. So like Devin said, you heard him reference earlier that we want to do this webinar because we all have solutions that we walk you through the process. And this is at this point in time, this is a perfect example of how closely related JDB, multi-bid, and then Scanco and Mappa Dock are closely related as well. And so you saw Devin walk through actually picking and shipping the order within Scanco. Now, that information that you're picking and shipping, if you are trading with EDI customers, they're going to want to know what you picked and in what boxes they're in, typically. 95% of ASN requirements require you as an EDI trading partner is to give your customers actually the specifics or details of what you need, carton and the detail level. And so to avoid you actually having to enter that information in manually, what is going to happen is when Scanco closes out and sends that information back to the server, it's not only going to go to shipping data entry in Sage, but it's also Mappa Dock is actually able to capture that information as well to avoid you having to duplicate the entry, because that's the last thing that we want you to do, because what we're here for is to streamline these types of processes for you. And now you'll see here I have another visual process flow. It's a little different than the one I showed you earlier. There's some more options. This is Mappa Dock's EDI ASN module. If you're familiar with the ASN document, the ASN document is the most complex and expensive document in the EDI world. There's vast requirements if you don't send it in the correct manner. You heard me reference chargebacks before earlier in the call. That's what Mappa Dock ASN module is here for. It's here for you to be able to meet your EDI trading partners requirements without a large amount of work actually having to process the ASN. And now with Mappa Dock and Scanco, what Scanco is going to do is it's going to send the order to Sage and to Mappa Dock, and Mappa Dock's actually going to grab it. And when we grab it, we're going to actually go into edit, package, and label data. And what that means is we're actually packing the order based on how you packed it earlier. And so here is a screen that shows you how it's packed. So you don't need to go into Mappa Dock and from an EDI standpoint tell it how it's packed. Scanco already did that for you. So we're going to take that over and then auto pack it for you based on how you did that within the Scanco application. So here, we have 2 cases. Also, if you have weight set up in Sage by item, we're able to auto-calculate the weight for you. That's a typical value that trading partners are going to want back on the EDI. So it really gives you an idea of how we can streamline that for you to avoid you actually having to come in and manually enter that information. And now, at this point in time, if you're required to print UCC 128 labels, if you're not familiar with what a UCC 128 label is, it's an EDI label that your customers require you to do, if that's a requirement of them. Typically, if they require the ASN and you're shipping to a store or DC, they're going to require you to send the UCC 128 label as well. And Mappa Dock is able to meet that. You'll see a button here on the upper right that said create case labels for this order. Now, when I click on that button, what it's going to do is it's going to send these 2 labels for those 2 cases to your label printer on site. We work very well with Zebra printers. The majority of our customer base uses Zebra printers. But what we'll do is we'll print the labels directly to that Zebra printer in the format that your customer, that your EDI trading partner requires of you. Because just like the ASN and the invoice, they have their own specifications for the UCC 128 label as well. And so that will be printed out. And so you don't have to go select a template. We recognize who the order is for and then print it out directly to that label printer for you. Now, if you don't want to have to print one label, go into each order one by one, you can come in here and say create labels for a range of orders and then enter your range here for the labels that you have yet to print. And it will actually populate, go ahead and print these labels for you in a batch, so you don't need to go one by one. So at this point in time, our order is packed. The labels have been slapped on the cases, and now we're ready to actually send out our ASNs, or trade our ASNs and send them out. And Mappa Dock has a very handy solution called ASN shipment auto selection. And what that means is we have the ability to create multiple ASNs for multiple trading partners at once. So if you're using Starship, if you're maintaining your tracking numbers or have WorldShip or FedEx directly integrated into shipping data entry, we're able to pull those tracking numbers over for you automatically. So again, really having to avoid you having to manually enter any information. But you can see here there's a lot of different selection criteria. You can go by customer number, by sales order number, by batch number. I can set default. So if I have a bill of lading number that's applied for several orders, I can come in here and enter my bill of lading number in. If you have the tracking number, we'll pull the tracking number over, apply ship dates to multiple orders. So this really gives the ability for you not to have to go in one by one, and if you have a different ship date than what was on the order, you can come in here and actually change the ship date. And so when I come down here, you do have a lot of different criteria, again, like I showed you before, but we have a very handy little button down in the bottom left called multiple orders. And what this is going to show you is it's going to show you any order that's in Mappa Dock's ASN processing module that you have not created an ASN for. So we're doing the filtering for you. We're not going to show you all orders in the system. We're not going to show you, all we're going to show you is any order that's for a customer of yours that's on EDI that requires the ASN document. So here's my order here. I can hit select. Actually, I might as well just select all of them. I'll go ahead and select all of them because this is a solution that allows you to create multiple ASNs for multiple trading partners at once. Hit select. They'll ask me, do I want to create a single ASN per shipment? So what that really means is one ASN per order. And that's typically a requirement of trading partners, but we do have the full capability of doing consolidated ASNs as well. So if you have a customer, a lot of times that happens when you're doing ship to DC, mark for store, they require you to send it consolidated. So we actually have the ability to consolidate the ASN as well. So at this point in time, when I clicked OK there, I clicked yes, it created 7 ASNs and put them in a batch for me to send out. And so either you have one of 2 options. One option is you can review the ASNs, or which is what number 2 is actually just go ahead and send them out. So what we really strive for on the Mappa Dock team is for you not to have to enter any additional information if at all necessary. So if we're able to pull it from somewhere else in Sage, we're going to do so. So we don't want to have you having to come in and review every single ASN. You created the ASNs, we pulled the tracking numbers over, you've already packed it within ScanCo. Now at this point in time, we can just send them out. So under Create Outbound ASNs, I can come under here and actually transmit the ASNs out of Mappa Dock. I can do that all trading partners at once, or I can select one trading partner at a time. And then when I click Proceed here, what that is actually going to do is that's going to send the ASNs out to that cloud-based solution or cloud-based EDI translation like an SPS Commerce or a on-premise. So if you're using like an on-premise EDI software, we would send it to that. So at this point in time, we have created our UCC 128 labels, sent out our ASN. So now we're ready to actually create invoices. You'll see a prompt here asking, do you want to create invoices? This actually does not mean do you want to create invoices via EDI. This is for our customers that aren't using shipping data entry to create their invoice batches. So if you're just creating your invoices off the sales order and having to do manually one by one, we have the ability of creating the invoices based on those ASNs that you just shipped. So if you're using batch processing, I can hit the next batch number or apply it to a previous batch, click Proceed. At that point in time, I've just created my invoices in invoice data entry because, again, we want you to make sure that you have the invoices in invoice data entry before you actually send them out. Now, here's my favorite part of actually walking through this process. It's invoicing. The reason why it's my favorite is because it's the quickest and the most simple. So basically, it's a two-step process when sending out your invoices. And what I mean by two steps is that there's actually no steps that you need to accomplish. We're just doing it in the background automatically for you. So Mappa Dock comes into play when you post your invoices in Sage. So at the time you post and update your sales order journal, at the beginning of the day, at the middle of the day, at the end of the day, regardless if you're doing EDI batches or non-EDI batches, does not matter. At the time that you post and update your sales order journal, Mappa Dock is going to recognize which invoices are for EDI customers, automatically select those, and then automatically send them out on your behalf. So there's literally not a step that you need to do to send out your invoices via EDI outside of what you're doing today in Sage. So we're just going to piggyback on top of you posting and use that as the trigger to send out your invoices via EDI. Now, if you ever need to reselect an invoice from history and resend it, odds are if you've been doing EDI, your customers probably say, hey, we need you to resend an invoice. Very simple. You can come into here, enter your invoice number, click Proceed, and then that will send out your invoice via EDI. We also have one last thing I want to show you here is this came out at our customer conference in Chicago back last October. We actually introduced what we call our Mappa Dock EDI order inquiry. And what that means is this gives you the ability to track by order number, sales order number, by PO number, to see if you sent a correlating PO acknowledgement, a correlating ASN. So it really gives you the visibility instead of having to guess, hey, did I send out an ASN? Mappa Dock will do this for you. It can show you any ASNs not sent and refresh it. That will come up and show you any order that's in your system that you've got to send an ASN for. So it really just gives you the visibility of what you have sent and what you have received. Now, that's really what I wanted to walk you through here in front of finishing up, actually shipping the order via EDI and then invoicing your customer via EDI as well. I know that we have about 10 minutes left here. So at this point in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it back over to Adrian to open up to any questions. But while I do that, I'm actually going to pop up a screen here so you can have myself, Patty's, Joe's, and Devin's contact information so you can have that at your disposal if need be. But at this point in time, Adrian, I'll pass it back over to you if there's any additional questions.
Thank you so much, Bill and team. That was a great presentation. It is so nice to see how all of these solutions work together to bring a streamlined supply chain optimization solution for our Sage 100. We do have several questions. I would like to launch a couple polls while we're asking the questions, if we can get the audience to answer these questions. So are you interested in learning more about manufacturing automation, the manufacturing automation that Joe Basaha talked about from JDBSG? If you could take a moment to answer that question. And here is a question from Richard. Thank you so much, Richard, for your question. How does material issue work in backflush mode?
If you're in backflush mode, there's a couple different types of backflush mode. Backflush en masse, you can trigger a backflush where you use work order scan or JobOps work order scan to do a completion, and when you send that back through the sync utility, we could generate a backflush transaction in mass. Or if you want visibility of the backflush, we can do the backflush in work order scan. So when you do the completion, it immediately creates a backflush transaction in the material issue screen, so you can see it immediately in the monitoring tools as well. So we can handle backflush in either direction for you.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll out and launch another poll. We have a couple polls to launch here. If you can answer this question to the audience, are you interested in learning more about the warehouse receiving, pick, pack, and ship automation that Devin from ScanCo spoke about? If you could answer that poll, that would be terrific. And did I understand that with ScanCo that receipt of goods are automatically, hold on one sec. Did I understand that with ScanCo that receipt of goods are automatically updated without having to do the receipt register?
There is an option to auto post, and that's similar to kind of what I was talking about with that other question. We didn't go into the back-end portal, but there is a user profiles and things you can use to set up those preferences.
And since this does work with JobOps and Work Ticket, can you still do single board level traceability for aerospace military apps? So we know where each individual board is at a time. And does it allow you to save manufacturer C&Cs when parts are received within Mappa Dock? Well, that was a loaded question.
Yeah, that's a big question, but that's actually a really good question too. So the answer is it's coming in about 2 weeks. We are adding the ability through JobOps where if you pre-assign the lot or serial through the work ticket, again, we will be able to track that through and validate material or validate labor, whatever, to a specific lot or serial throughout the process back to either make the stock closing entries or invoice data entry. So the answer is yes, it's coming out in the new release with the Apple release here in a couple weeks. As far as the second question goes, I might need a little bit more information on that because I think I have about a couple answers. That might be something if you want to get a hold of me afterwards, we could probably find out which way would work for you. But there's a couple ways of getting what you want out. I just don't know exactly how to answer the question for you.
Perfect. And then did we answer, is that also applying, Joe, to the Mappa Dock part of the question? And does it allow to save manufacturing C&Cs when parts are received within Mappa Dock? Are you addressing that part of the question too?
I'm not sure if I can address that part of the question, to be honest with you. I need a little bit more information on that one. I'm not sure.
On that part. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then we have another question here. Do we have a certificate of validation that shows this software meets medical and aerospace requirements? Does anyone have any type of certificates like that?
What was the question again? I didn't hear the first part.
Do you have a certificate of validation that shows this software meets medical and aerospace requirements?
I do not have a certification process through my part of it anyway. However, we have a lot of people using it for aerospace, food, and certification. A lot of it comes down to the standardization, whether it's ISO, QS. We have been certified during the company's certification process to be used with their facility and their plant, but I don't have a certification outside of that currently.
And I remember when I did work at Sage Software.
ScanCo has.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Devin.
Well, I was just going to say that, yeah, ScanCo has had medical companies that have implemented our software that have been cleared by the FDA, but other than that, I don't have any other details.
And I remember when I worked at Sage, this is Adrian, when I worked at Sage Software, these types of questions would come up, and Sage would not even Sage would be certified under a lot of the different industry requirements, because there's so many different certification levels they would just prove their validation through the customers, through the enormous customer base that they had. So that's a good question, Shannon. And then Scanco. Scanco, does it warn you when you overship? You shipped a total of 46 and the total ordered was 45.
Good catch. Yes, it does. But I had not realized that on the back end of the portal that I had overshipment enabled, so it was actually letting me do the overshipment. My intention was for it to come up with an error. So the answer to your question is it will tell you when you're overshipping as long as you don't have that preference set on the back end portal for the software.
And can you show us an example of single board traceability? Thank you, Shannon.
Showing it now from the demo standpoint?
Yeah, and I think maybe, Joe, should we table that so that you can get back to Shannon with a demo of that? Okay.
Yeah, I have to, but it's a different session, VM. I'd have to do that on a separate session.
Okay, perfect. And then can multiple users be in a work ticket, changing status, printing labels for shipping, doing invoices, etc.? Or is it only a single user at a time that can be in a work ticket with Mappa Dock and Scanco?
From a work ticket or a work order, it doesn't really matter from either module. You could have multiple people in on the same work order or work ticket, tracking labor, changing statuses, whatever the case may be. You will get an isolated record for every transaction. So if you go and look up, if two people go into the same work ticket or work order, ironically, and maybe change the status at the exact same time, whoever saves last wins from the review standpoint. However, both record transactions will go into your inquiry. So whether it's work order or work ticket, you'll see both transactions. It's just whoever saved last is what you're going to see last on the open review dashboard.
And also on...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to keep cutting you off.
No problem. Go ahead.
So on the Scanco side, that is one of our biggest advantages over our competition is that we have the ability to do shipping and receiving with multiple users.
And we have another question. Is Mappa Dock going to be at Sage Summit? Everybody here, I believe, is having a booth at Sage Summit. Scanco and SWK are big sponsors of Sage Summit. JDB, I believe you are also going to have a booth there. So am I correct that everyone will be present at Sage Summit?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
And I want to see everybody that's on this webinar there at our booths.
See our beautiful faces.
Put the pieces together. We have a third-party fulfillment center. We pull orders down from several e-portal websites and then pick, pack, and ship for e-commerce vendors. Does this produce have the capability of pulling for orders? Thank you, Robert.
On the Scanco side, that's a unique situation. We'd have to speak and get some more information on that since it's specific.
And then, Patty, did you have a comment on that one too?
Well, no, I just wanted to let Robert know that we're going to be contacting him to discuss details as well.
Perfect. Okay, so audience, if you do have any more questions, I would just invite you to ask those questions. We are running here at a close with 1 minute to spare. Awesome job, you guys.
Wow, record breaking. I'm going to change presenters to me because Bill had to leave, and I'm just going to put up the slide with our contact information in case anybody has additional questions.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think again, it's really great to look at how we've been able to get these different companies together to more or less bridge the gap in the solution for Sage 100, so that all of these transactions, all of this functionality is added on as an extension and not actually interfering, but enhancing the way that you already do things inside of Sage 100 to make better efficiencies and save a lot of money and a lot of time.
Well, thank you all, and thank you so much, audience, for participating today and attending this webinar. We know you're busy, and we just appreciate your time and consideration, and we will all be in touch. I'm going to send a follow-up email with everybody's contact information along with the recording of this presentation. So I'm just going to hand it back to the panelists with any closing comments.
I'd just like to thank everyone for giving us the opportunity to show our solutions, and again point out the fact that we're trying to make everyone's life much more simple with the full integration of the different products within Sage 100. Thank you very much. This was Patty from SWK.
Yeah, and thank you from Devin at Scanco. We appreciate it very much.
And I'll wrap it up. Thanks from Joe at JDBSG. Thanks.
All right, everybody, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.